Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, the decision of the Karnataka High Court to restrict the wearing of hijabs for the time being, as it hears the case in Karnataka, is being interpreted by some as a big victory. While the court has not passed its judgment, which will happen later, since the matter resumes hearing on Monday, the debate on wearing the hijab remains wide open. Now, the legal arguments are strong on either side on whether or not the hijab constitutes religious attire. But the larger issue remains as well. What difference does it make to anyone if certain students want to wear a hijab? Isn't it more important that their education and that of others remains unaffected? Joining us now, the senior Supreme Court lawyer Dushyant Dave. We are also joined by the Congress leader Veerappa Moily. Shri Iranna Kadadi, the Rajya Sabha MP of the BJP, joins us as well. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, who's written about this, is with us. Muskan Mehra is a BA second year student at Hansraj University in Delhi, Hansraj College in Delhi University. We thought we'd open this up to students as well. And MS Sajid is the national president of the Campus Front of India. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Mr. Dave, are we missing the larger point over here? The goal over here is to ensure that a group of women get their education, and indeed education for all isn't affected. Does it make any difference, or should it make any difference, that some wear a hijab while others don't?
Well, not at all. In fact, this controversy is completely avoidable. It's a complete non-starter. I don't know why the government of Karnataka is making this into a kind of a prestige issue. Constitutionally, nobody can be compelled to wear a particular dress or not to wear a particular dress. Even if the colleges have prescribed uniform, wearing of a scarf or a hijab cannot really be prohibited at all by any law. So I think this is a controversy which was really not necessary. And as I have said repeatedly over last 1 week, last few days in series of interviews, I think the BJP, I'm sorry to say, has really embarked upon something which is really, I would say, very sad commentary on our democracy, and it really appears to be perhaps aimed at the elections in Uttar Pradesh. It was totally uncalled for. Totally uncalled for.
Iranna Kadadi, is this something which is meant to influence the elections in Uttar Pradesh, as has often been alleged? Mr. Kadadi, can you hear us?
हाँ.
Kadadi साहब ये बताइए, ये इस वक्त क्यों हो रहा है? ये मसला जब पहले ये मसला कर्नाटका में पहले कभी हुआ नहीं है, इस वक्त इसको क्यों उठाया जा रहा है? ये उत्तर प्रदेश के चुनाव के कारण हो रहा है?
नहीं, कर्नाटक से बहुत पहले से यूनिफॉर्म कोड था और हर स्कूल और उनका अलग अलग यूनिफॉर्म का रूल्स था. उसके बीच में कुंदापुर करके एक सिटी है, वो सिटी में वो प्रश्न उठा. उन्होंने कांग्रेस लोग इसके पीछे बहुत प्लान करके वो मुद्दा बहुत उठा रहे.
Okay, Veerappa Moily, is that something that you accept, that there is a dress code which has always been there? Because as I understand it, there was never any restriction on girls or women to wear a hijab. Now, some universities and colleges do have a dress code, but others don't. Why must someone's will to deny somebody their religious attire, why must that come to the fore? Why is that happening now?
It's quite shocking and distorted. I think day by day India is becoming illiterate. Instead of going, more for literacy and culture and everything. And, what is that hijab? It's as simple as a scarf. Any color of scarf we can wear. And even you North Indian women, out of respect, they put the dupatta. That's nothing short of that, nothing more than that. Even in our Karnataka, many women, out of respect, if elderly come and the strangers come, they wear that. It's not a religious symbol at all. I don't know how you consider it as that's what I am telling you, most unfortunate. It just, we are becoming illiterate, and it's a distorted one.
No, but Mr. Moily, the only point I disagree with what you're saying is that it is a religious attire. If you look
it is not. It is absolutely not
Sir,
a religious attire.
if you look at chapter 33, verse 59 of the Quran, this is an interpretation. As you know, the Quran has many interpretations. There is one interpretation which says that it is religious attire, and these students say that it is part of their religious attire.
It's a religious attire.
Hence, it's coming up in court in this matter.
No. Then do you think that, all the, Rajasthan women and Gujarat women and Lingayat women, they just wear this scarf or dupatta, it's all a religious attire?
No, sir. I'm not saying it is, sir.
I am asking you the question.
No, it isn't.
If you
It
consider
isn't.
it as a religious
It isn't.
attire,
No, Mr. Moily, you're right. It isn't. But this is the case of hijab in the context of Muslim women. So therefore, some would suggest that the equivalence that you're making isn't accurate.
Why you discriminate Muslim women for covering their head by a scarf?
True.
Or covering their head with dupatta? As against the rest of the women in the country and the world. I think somewhere I think Kerala should conduct a literary class to tell the people what is the scarf, what is the dupatta.
Okay, let me get a response to what you're saying.
Understand me?
No, I understand you. I understand you, sir, and let me get a response to your.
Moreover, you go through the Uniform Act of Karnataka, which clearly says that you cannot impose uniform on the people.
Right.
It's contrary to the constitution.
Right. Okay.
People are illiterate.
Okay, Mr. Moily, 1 second, sir. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, 1 second, sir. I've got others also. But Mr. Moily, we've discussed this at length, as I have been doing for the last few days. So I'll continue. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I've read your article. And you make the point. 1 sec, Mr. Moily, sir, there are others also. I'll come back to you. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I've read your article where you make the point that there are different interpretations and different ways in which the hijab is worn or not worn, depending on the country. There is also an argument that says it is not part of the religious attire of Muslims. How would you respond to those who say that in fact it is, and therefore it's not enough for either you or me or anybody to say it is not? Religion and its interpretation is deeply personal. What may be religious as a symbol to me may not be one for you.
Vishnu, this requires a very much wider debate and a lot of time. But yes, to come straight to your point, you see, there are many Muslim countries in the world. Now, you take a country like Saudi Arabia that belongs to a more orthodox. It had a more enclosed society where you have one of the chief head imams, a very respected Sheikh Abdullah ibn Mutlaq, who has said that the abaya is not integral. It's not an integral part, and therefore if a woman does not wish to wear an abaya, it is not necessary as long as you are decently dressed.
Right.
So the Islam does not prescribe a dress and any dress which covers you up. And the verse that you have quoted was that when the chest used to be bare, they were asked to cover the chest and maintain decency. Now Islam has not prescribed a dress. So why would you say that a headscarf prescribes the Islamic dress? That would be my question.
So I'll answer that, sir. I'll answer that, ma'am. According to this interpretation, it's an article written by the Supreme Court lawyer Sanjay Hegde, who quotes chapter 33, verse 59, which he says, O Prophet, enjoin your wives, your daughters, and the wives of true believers that they should cast their outer garments over their persons when abroad. That is most convenient, that they may be distinguished and not be harassed. Right, so this is a part of that, and it's a lengthy quote, but he says that this particular interpretation supports the wearing of the hijab. Now I'm not getting into the merits or whether we should or a woman should or shouldn't. I'm only trying to understand the interpretation.
Yes, okay. And you're asking me a technical question. See, I tell you, in the days when this verse was revealed, because Islam never introduced the hijab or the veil, as I have written, people used to wear a dress, which used to go over the head into their backs, and the chest used to be bare. They had a long slit in front. So when it said cover yourself, and because women used to go out, in Medina there was a woman who was murdered. She trifled with, and there were 3 murders that took place. So the Prophet said that when you go out, all the women, and when you go out, cover your chest and cover yourself in a manner which is your protection.
Right.
And therefore that was a decent dress. Now to prescribe it, or even to say, it does not mention a headgear, it mentions the chest. So there are many scholars in the world, like you have Leila Ahmad, you have Arsalan, you have Professor Arsalan, you have Khalid ibn Abdul Fadil, who is a very well-known Arab scholar, who said that this was not necessary, the headscarf was not a necessary part. And plus I want you to know that, there is, in the context, this is not fard. Fard is an obligatory.
Okay.
There are 5 obligatory.
And it is not obligatory as per you. All right, as per your interpretation.
Vishnu, please, it's not per me. It is not called Fardul Ain or Fardul Kifaya, which means individual or collectively. And there have been people like Zamakhshari, who was a very great commentator,
right,
and Imam Razi, who have said it's the culture of the time.
Okay, ma'am, I get that point. I understand. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, ma'am. I just want to go across to Madhusudana Gopala Krishnachar, who is a BJP leader and a former MLC. Thanks very much for being with us. So there's that religious argument as well, and whether it is part of religious attire or not. And Zeenaji has just given us a lot over there. I just wanted to look at the legal aspect of this as well, because there have been court judgments in India on both sides. For example, in 2016, there was a Kerala High Court judgment as well, where the judge took a view that by allowing the wearing of hijab and full sleeves, and at the same time allowing invigilators, because this had to do with students going in for an exam, to frisk candidates. So in other words, women were allowed to wear the hijab. There are other cases where that has not been allowed. So do you believe this is an open debate at this stage?
Vishnu, I think let us leave the constitutional part of it and the legal part of it to the courts.
Okay.
Let the lawyers argue all those things. Myself, I am a politician. Let me take up this in the political angle, because this is more of a political nature than of a legal or religious side.
Okay.
Because nowadays the educated women, they are becoming a problem to Islam, particularly after the banning of triple tilak. The women folk of Islam, they have become more aspirant, and they want the banning of many women being married to a man. And not only that, they want to get educated.
Women are more aspirational. Muslim women are more aspirational. You brought up the entire issue of triple talaq and its banning.
Now, because of this actually, particularly the mullahs and the hardcore Islamists, they are worried.
But Mr. Gopala Krishnachar, this is one thing I don't understand. On the one hand, the BJP in Karnataka has sided with those who say that there shouldn't be hijab in educational institutions. It's being argued out in court. On the other hand, today the Prime Minister in an election rally, and we'll in a moment hear out what he said that every step that his government or the BJP takes is in favor of Muslim women. However, over here in Karnataka, how is this in favor of Muslim women who say that their rights are being denied?
In fact, Vishnu, I told you yesterday also the same thing.
That what you're doing is in favor of Muslim women, and yet these Muslim women say that it is not in favor of them.
I tell you, there is a political mileage being taken by SDPI and Congress.
Okay.
They are in competition.
All right. Okay. Let's just listen to what the Prime Minister had to say, and let's look at this and then bring in the students as well.
बेटियां हमारी इस साफ नियत को भली भांति समझती है। जो 3 तलाक के खिलाफ कानून बनाया है, उसने मुस्लिम बहनों को सुरक्षा का विश्वास दिया है।
All right. So the Prime Minister there reaching out to Muslim women, talking about how the triple talaq was banned, an exceptionally regressive law which was banned in this country. But the larger point that Mr. Modi was saying is that he works, or his government, the BJP works in favor of Muslim women, and yet you have Muslim women complaining over here. I just want to go across to MS Sajid, who is with us. MS Sajid is the National President of the Campus Front of India. Sajid, isn't it correct to say that in any number of educational institutions, not just in Karnataka but across the country, nobody thinks twice about whether a woman is wearing a hijab or not? You just look at the person, you don't necessarily look at the hijab. They just go and they educate themselves. Is it a big deal? Has it ever been a big deal?
If somebody wants to wear a hijab, then our constitution gives rise to wear it as a essential customary practices, as essential religious practices. That nobody can deny it. Based on that, nobody should not be denied from the education institutions. That is clearly an apathy. Those who are denied entering in the education institution or from the public institutions or public spaces, if they are banned from them there, then it will be clearly anti-constitutional and apathy that we were experiencing 50, 60 years back.
Right.
So this is we know that the country is a democratic country. We have a very well constitutions and it gives right to wear what we wish.
No, so I'm just asking you, you have seen your friends, your Muslim women friends or other Muslim women in colleges wearing a hijab, right? It's not something which is unusual. It's happened for decades and nobody seems to have cared.
I agree. If somebody wants to wear, then they have to wear. They have to be allowed. Those who are not want to wear this, they have right.
Okay, let me just go across to Muskan Mehra, who is a BA second year student at Hansraj College in Delhi University. Muskan, what is wrong with a woman choosing to wear whatever it is she wants, in this case, hijab?
Right. I think both perspectives need to be considered within this debate. I think overall focus on women empowerment, focus on holistic development of women, creating the best possible environment for women in the education space must be the focal point of everything we do. Right. I think within academic institutions, value must be placed on uniformity. Every student in the space must be viewed as an equal, and alleviation of this discrimination is indispensable. More on the idea of expression as well as freedom of religion as a fundamental right is authorized in every sphere of a secular India. I think it is reasonable to mandate a dress code because this dress code would apply to every student. Everyone looks similar. I think in this case, the government intent is not to demonize or berate any community because this prohibition does not exist anywhere else. In an academic institution, the primary focus should be to create a conducive environment for the well-being of these girls. Because in the formative years of our life, it's reasonable to go to school and take a neutral perspective on things and absorb knowledge by just not exploring your religious identity there. You can explore that outside of...
So then Muskan, tell me one thing,
Right.
and let me ask you one thing. You have your Christian friends who would often wear a crucifix. You'd have a Sikh wearing a turban. Those are religious symbols. Those aren't being stopped.
Right. I think in a judicial manner that comes under the ERP, and then that would make this a different debate. But I think my overall perspective would be that any action should be taken after considering the welfare of these Muslim girls. I think we cannot take away their agency from them. So if their interests die in wearing this hijab, then that's how the government should proceed.
Okay. Veerappa Moily, would you agree that there is no end to this debate? It is the hijab today which is problematic. Tomorrow it might be a turban, then it might be a crucifix.
Yeah, there is no end for it because it is only a discrimination. It is offending the privacy of a person also. So here, it was not an issue at all. I hail from that district, Udupi district. It was not an issue at all. They used to wear, even when we were students, they used to wear this scarf. It was not prevented. Even under the 2021 Act of the Karnataka government on uniform, they said should not be made compulsory. Uniform cannot be made compulsory.
Okay.
And here it is, why, loads of Kesari shawls are brought and distributed among the students. Is it not politics?
Yeah.
And
The same thing has been done by Congress
created Congress party has not created this scarf.
thing has been done
Even
by
before the
Congress.
Congress is born, people used to wear dupatta and the scarf. And why unnecessarily blaming Congress? Because we are not in the field.
Okay.
We don't want this. And that district has been totally destroyed.
Okay, so let me put that across to Mr. Gopal Krishnachar, sir. Who's been distributing the scarves?
image,
Right.
image of that district as a most literate district has been distorted.
Okay, Mr. Moily, one sec. He wants to respond. Go ahead, Mr. Gopal Krishnachar. Yes.
Kesari shawl is very common. It is available in every cloth shops, in every small village.
So these students went to a shop and they bought a Kesari shawl, sir.
Sunday evening they are returning.
There is no politics in that.
Right. So, no, I accept that it's available in shops. So, are you meaning to suggest, sir, that all of these students in the Udupi district went to shops, paid money, got saffron shawls and scarves, and then proceeded to this college and protested?
Funny
Why
story.
not? Why
Is,
not? And
is
somebody must have
that what
distributed
happened,
also.
sir?
And
It was
somebody
not
must have
distributed.
distributed also, and he is not
It is
from
manufactured and
BJP.
distributed.
He may be
That's
even
all.
from Congress. He
It
may
was
be
not
even
there.
from
They were,
Congress.
no, till the other day they were not wearing the shawl. From where does these shawls came? I don't
You
understand.
see, it's all available. It is not imported, Mr. Moily.
I know.
It is available.
No, but
it
sir-
is available in Udupi.
All right.
You go to
Manufacture
temple.
and supply to them.
Yeah.
Do it, and divide this country.
Sergeant,
again.
you had a point to make. Go ahead quickly. I need to
We
wrap
don't
this up.
want this country to be united.
Pointed it out. Everybody knows who is creating the problem in this issue.
Zeenat ma'am, I'll come to you next, but Sajid wants a point. I'll come to you after that. Sajid, go ahead.
No, you pointed it very clearly that people are taking from the shops and wearing it coming to the colleges. They are making problems there. You know, they have assaulted many students there before yesterday while they were protesting. These are the controversies created by the BJP or the Hindu right-wing parties, and everybody knows it very well. Hijab is, we know that's a very customary practice. This is not for any political image. It's very clear. But people who are wearing saffron shawls and scarves, they are creating the problem. They are the real problem creators. They should be banned.
All right. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, last word to you, ma'am. I need to wrap this up. Yes.
Thank you. I think no form of religious symbolism should be allowed in a campus. All students are equal. We are living in a secular democracy. So whether it is a saffron robe or whether it is a cross or whether it is a whatever symbol, or should not within the school premises. The Constitution is allowing you women to dress as they want. There is no dictation on that. You can wear whatever you please. But we are only talking once you're sitting in a classroom. We have to be assimilated as one. And religious symbolism, especially in today's climate, in today's day, where there's so much polarization.
But ma'am, respectfully, but Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, most respectfully, in a country as deeply religious as India and in a country as deeply diverse as India, why don't we feel proud about wearing our religious attire and accept the fact that somebody is wearing some other attire if they choose to? Why must we why must we put it all down and repress it? It is our identity. You might be a proud Muslim, a proud Hindu, a proud Christian, wear whatever you want. Why say that, no, it must be all brought together and no one must wear? We are the most religious country on earth.
Either you have it, all of them wearing whatever they want.
Right.
Either religious,
So that's right. It's not being denied, ma'am.
Not introduce it. So I would prefer that, in a uniform country like a secular India, and many Muslim countries have done this, that you have a similar uniform, you're cutting across there, you're assimilating, you're not making your identity
That's an
conscious.
interesting way,
You're
ma'am,
not getting
for me
your
to
identity,
butt in
so
and
that's
wrap
why
this up
education.
because I'm out of time. Assimilation versus valuing diversity. That's a debate which is going to be heard. It's going to come up again in the Karnataka High Court on Monday. We'll take a short break. More coming up.